God on the Move.
This story stand out because when we were talking about the resurrection of Christ, I was telling them of the what happened, and then the kids started crying and they were looking at the back of my room. Then I was asking them why, what happened. They would point and then they would say, ugly, ugly. Something ugly or someone ugly at the back of the room.
In Islamic teaching, children with disabilities are regarded as a gift from God and are to be treated with compassion and dignity. In practice, however, perceptions vary widely across Muslim communities. In some contexts, disability is associated with spiritual causes such as curses, generational sins, or the evil eye, leading to stigma and shame for families. This creates both a profound responsibility and a unique opportunity for Christians to step in, for example through special education, demonstrating Christ's love by offering acceptance, support and hope to children and families who are often marginalized and overlooked. You are listening to the God on the Move podcast. This Lausanne Movement production is part of a wider initiative dedicated to showing testimonies of God's work across the world for every believer. And this is a story about special education in Muslim communities. The voice you heard earlier is Samara. She's a physiotherapist, a special education teacher, and a missionary. And this is her story.
I'm Samara. I'm from one of the countries here in Asia. I started serving the Lord when I was taking up my master's degree in special education. So I was old in my thinking, and I was praying, Lord, why did you not call me earlier? Because I really wanted to serve you more, longer, and deeper. When I got to know Christ, I immediately started doing ministry. So I entered the church, and then that church had a ministry doing like community works in one of the poor areas here in my country. So I started there sharing God's love to children, doing feeding programs to them. And because I was taking up master's degree in special education, I was also working in that field during that time. So even the children that I was having lessons with, I would share God because I was like first time that I met the Lord and I was really passionate about Him. So I started sharing Him even to my students, although they are special, but some of them can understand who God is, especially those who are the higher spectrum. And even to the parents, I would share the light of Christ in my life, what happened, what changed. Then after 5 years of working that school, I resigned because I wanted to enter in the seminary. I wanted to know more about who God is. Because I think my knowledge is still limited and I still want more. I still want more of God. So when I entered that seminary, they have this course about intercultural and urban studies. So I entered into that school not knowing anything about missions. So I just wanted to share Christ. But when I entered that school, they give me opportunities to see the world, to see different religions, and have that practical side of going to places and sharing the gospel to people, to the Buddhist, to the Muslim, and to tribes. So I had my heart to the Muslim people. And I didn't stop serving God and asking Him to bring me to where the Muslims are. So after graduating from that seminary, I asked the Lord, how can I enter into a country? And my church is not a missional church. So I don't have a backup. I don't have anyone to support me. So I asked the Lord what to do. I wanted to respond to your call, but I have limited resources. Then the Lord gave me an idea that you've been teaching children with special needs, right? And even throughout my seminary studies, I still do like tutorial to a child with autism. And then it gave me like an idea of why not use what God has put into my heart, my passion in reaching out these kids. and teaching children with neurodivergent and other disabilities. So I said, the Lord, yes, okay, God, let's go. Let's go to the Muslim world. Let's reach out these families who are suffering because of these things. So I asked the Lord where to go. Then there's an opening for the Middle East. And the Lord allowed me to be in an Islamic school. It's a new school, and they were looking for a special education coordinator. I thought I was just going to be a teacher, but the Lord opened that opportunity for me to be the coordinator of that school. And it brought a lot of opportunities for me to reach out to the families, especially to parents who has lost hope because no other school would receive their child. So one parent actually said to me that she was surprised that I actually said, yes, you can enroll your child in this school, because she'd been going through one school after another, but no one wanted her child. And that's a great relief to the parent that somebody wanted her child. And up to now, we're still friends because, when you open opportunities for the parents and for the child, they would like really be grateful to you. And we established like friendship. Until now, we still have communication. We still know what's happening to that child. And also, I had an opportunity to counsel one child who's grade 4 during that time. He had this experience of being bullied in school from the previous school that he went to. So for years, he's been having this traumatic experience of being bullied in that school. Then whenever he enters into my classroom, he would cry and remembers everything. And it was an opportunity for me to share the love of God and to tell him that God, Allah, created him wonderfully. And he has to value himself and love himself and learn how to forgive those people who have hurt him. So one by one, he named those kids. So it was like it's an opportunity for him to release forgiveness to those the people who have hurt him. And it's like snippets of opportunities because I cannot really share, the gospel fully. But those kinds of opportunities is precious. And I know that God is working in those conversations that I have with the parent and with the child. And in my experience in the Middle East, because it's an Islamic school, it's not really easy. It's a difficult place to be in. So I would often battle with the Lord because there will be oppositions of why I am in that position, especially I'm not a Muslim and it is an Islamic school. So they would constantly call me and share the Quran and share Allah with me. So I would listen because it's a way of respecting them and learning actually from them. But I cannot be moved because I know my faith and they know I am a Christian as well. But it's really a battle that every time they would like call me and have that one-on-one session with me. And one thing that I won't forget as well is that opportunity to have. There's one class where the teacher asked me to talk about bullying because it's like a week about how to encounter bullies and how to take care of yourself and be not a bully. So that's that week. So they have this small group in their classroom. They have a circle, a time to talk to each other and have that opportunity to share what they have in their heart. And then this teacher asked me to share my thoughts about what the students were saying. And it was another opportunity for me to share the love of God and to love thy neighbor as you love yourself. The concept of who God is. Although it was a short opportunity because the Quranic teacher suddenly entered the classroom, so I have to be caught. But I know that the students heard and that seed of stories of who my God is has been planted in their hearts. But there are times that I would feel like, Lord, I want more. I want to share you. I want to have more opportunities to really share the gospel with these people because I know that you love them. That's why you brought me here. But the Lord has a fun way of showing Himself. There's this week of where the children would make a collage about different countries. And there's this collage about Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I forgot the statue of Christ, the big one there. So it was there on the wall, posted there. And in my heart, the Lord was speaking to me and telling me, I'm on that wall. Even if you have little opportunity to really say what's in your heart, I am everywhere. I'm on that wall. They can see me. And God even told me that whenever you walk into this hallway, you're the light, you're the beacon of hope in this place. So even if you feel that you're doing a little, you're doing enough. So that's my experience in the Middle East.
In previous episodes, we've heard how differently disabilities and neurodiversity is perceived in various cultures in other parts of the world. So I wanted to know how different Muslim communities respond to it.
So different contexts. The one that I work in Asia, it's more on the demonic side. So parents would go to this witch doctor and they would ask the witch doctor to heal their child, to ward off the evil from the body of the child. And in the Middle East, it's more of a curse to the family and it's a shame culture, so they don't really want the child to be labeled as special. That's why whenever they enter into a school, they would not reveal if there are any delays in the developmental age of the child or skills of the child. So when I started speaking and asking the parents to please let their child be checked by a developmental pediatrician or an educational psychologist, they would not like that. A parent would threaten me. I had this experience. This was my last meeting. A parent told me that when he was a child, he was trained to create a bomb. So, from any material, he can create one. So, I told him, I don't think they're going to create one for me, right? Because the kindergarten coordinator doesn't want the child to enter to the next level if the child doesn't have proper papers. And the parents was really like adamant and they don't want any diagnosis for their child. I do understand that because of the context of the country and the shame culture. However, it will not help the child. But as educators, though the child doesn't have any labels or any diagnosis, we still do our part in providing accommodation and modification, whatever it is the child needs to be able to catch up with the classes. So, but there are systems in class, systems in schools that needs to be in place, but parents would really not like that. Yeah, so generational curse or somebody ate something that brought this or an evil eye. The evil eye, they would often say that there's an evil eye whenever there's good fortune in you and then you started like sharing it with another person of how happy you are about the fortunate things that's happening to you. So the evil eye would always look at you and be jealous of it. So they would hush us. Quiet. Don't tell anyone about this. Because the evil eye is there. So they're very watchful about what they say because the evil eye might catch it and be jealous and do something bad about their life.
At this point, I wanted to learn more about Samara's own background. What was her upbringing like, and how did she come to faith in Jesus? And what caused that passion and compassion for Muslim communities, and Afghan people in particular?
So my family is like really rigid Catholic faith. So when we grow up, they would say we will die as a Catholic. So they don't really like the idea that I became a born again Christian or evangelical Christian. I became a Christian because of a situation in the family. So my mom has mental health issue. She has schizophrenia. She was diagnosed with that. When I was in college, I was alone with her. So it was really difficult for me because I would have to take care of her and then I would have to like study physiotherapy. So I had this episode that I wanted to end my life because of the burden that is in my shoulder that I cannot take care of her and it's too heavy. I cannot share it to anyone. It's like I feel that I'm so alone. So I wanted to end my life. and I was thinking of how to end my life. Would I cut my wrist? Lord, I was speaking to God and I was thinking about that. So would I cut my wrist or I'll just cut my throat? That would be faster. But then I suddenly started crying and I heard a voice saying no. And I told that voice, if you are God, if you are Jesus, show yourself to me. Bring someone who will help me understand my situation and help me know who you are. And thank God I didn't end my life. So after a few months, I met someone who shared the gospel with me, and that was the start of my journey with God. So my passion with teaching children with special needs started with my mom because I see her as someone special. And I also had this OJT, on the job training, during my physiotherapy as an intern. I had the opportunity to be in a special school. So I had children with cerebral palsy as my patient. So at that school, I started liking treating children. And I didn't know about special ed, but because of that school, I was like, wow, there's special needs teachers. I didn't know that they exist. So after graduation, I said to myself, okay, I won't be able to continue with medicine because I really wanted to be a pedia doctor. But money wise, we don't have that resources anymore. So I said that, okay, so let me be a teacher to children with special needs. I will work at the same time study so that I will gain knowledge on how to do this. So I was working in the morning and studying about children with special needs and how to educate them in the evening. So that's how I started with this. Why the Muslims? I had this mission trip to one of here in my country, there's a part which is Muslim dominant. So in our school, we have an internship program where the students are asked to go to a 2 week short term engagement and missions trip. So during that time in that community, I fell in love with them. I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the Muslim. And I see Christ working in their lives. I see Christ there already, even before we arrived. And I don't know, God just brought this heart, the burden to reach out to the Muslims. So after that trip, then I started praying where the Lord will take me. I really wanted to share the gospel to the Afghani community, to Afghanistan. But, limited resources, limited opportunity to go. That's why I went to the Middle East. So I think that in that country, I will meet an Afghani. And in my first year, there's none. I said, oh no, I won't be able to meet any people from Afghanistan. But in the second year, I had one student. So he was the first Afghan student and Afghani person that I've met. And he keeps on coming to my room and he keeps on talking to me. And he's just awesome. He's really awesome. And that's why after my opportunity in the Middle East, I transferred to another country here in Asia who has refugees coming from different countries. And one of those are from Afghanistan. And that's why I went to that country. I saw news about the Taliban's and Christians being beheaded by the Taliban's, and my heart just cried out for them, especially with the women. And they are oppressed and they don't have opportunities like I have in my country. So I started praying for them when I saw that news. And the Lord asked me to keep on praying. Actually, when I shared that to my church mate, they started laughing at me. And then they don't really like understand, huh? You're going to Afghanistan? Are you going to really meet an Afghani? So it's like a question. They don't really believe that God will really bring people or really bring me to where these people are. Because their thoughts are, you have to go to Afghanistan in order to meet an Afghan. But there are people on the move. So they don't have that kind of concept. That's why they started laughing at my heart, my passion for the Afghani. And that's why when I had this student, I started laughing in the inside. It's like, all right, I finally have one. Finally met one, yeah. And then when I arrived in this Asian country who has refugees, and then I started befriending more people from Afghanistan.
I can hardly imagine how difficult and disheartening it must have been to invest so much and love so much, but having to wait so long to even meet one person from Afghanistan. So, as so often on this podcast, I asked her about the stories that keep her going when it seems like nothing is going to plan.
So, in this Asian country, I arrived there before the pandemic. So, I was serving in a sped school and then in the refugee center. This country really have a lot of spiritual forces that would hinder you to really be brave enough to stand on your faith. And there's really a spiritual battle in that place. Whenever I share Christ in my class in this special needs center, there will be movements in my classroom. Things moving. My kids will cry because they would see something that unseen. This story stand out because when we were talking about the resurrection of Christ, I was telling them of the what happened, and then the kids started crying and they were looking at the back of my room. Then I was asking them why, what happened. They would point and then they would say, ugly, ugly. Something ugly or someone ugly at the back of the room. And there would be sounds banging, things banging at the back. And that kind of scenario would really distract you. But I just told my students that tell that ugly thing to go away, that Christ is with us. Then we started praying together. So that's something that won't forget. And then in the refugee center, one of my friend died because of COVID. And she was the first person whom I met in that center who toured me around and then opened that opportunity for me to be there. And when she was struggling because of COVID, I had this opportunity to call her. And actually, the one who's holding the phone is, I think, the sister. And I shared who Christ is. I don't know if, because I cannot see her face to face, but I know that she heard, and I'm praying that she received Christ. And it's really heartbreaking to lose her. And she's from Afghanistan, actually. So she's the first Afghani that I've met there. That's why it's heartbreaking for me to see her go. And then the second time that after the pandemic, I went back and served in that same Asian country, but different location. So we opened a SPED center, and the children there that I've met, one of the things that I won't forget is this child who was possessed. So this child is already like have autism, and then there's spiritual possession. I cannot forget the way she looks at me when she was throwing herself on the floor, and she cannot stop throwing herself. And her eyes were just looking at me and like pleading to help her. And I have an assistant, and I told my assistant, let's pray for this child. And when we started praying, her eyes suddenly switched. It's like a new person. And she suddenly stopped, and it's just tears rolling down her eyes. And she was calm. She suddenly became calm. And I knew that something came out of her body, and it is the work of God. And because it is in the classroom, and in my mind, I have to tell the parent about it. And because we prayed for her child. And I asked my assistant to please let's pray together as we speak to the mom. And we're going to share the story about the child who keeps on throwing himself in the fire. And then Jesus arrived and healed that child. And we did that. We shared that to the mom. And the mom said that, oh, maybe because we went to the mosque when it's not time for us to be there. So maybe that's why there's something that entered into my child's body. And we shared what we've read about Isa and what Isa did to the boy in that story, and what we have seen and what happened to her child. And we just share. But it's up to God and up to the person to believe. And we're just praying until now that the mom would be open to see it as a miracle. So after that incident, the child is more responsive and she is more calm. Although there are tantrums, there are still tantrums, but different from what we have experienced that day. So I've seen how different it is because she's stronger. Even I cannot move her. Even the two of us cannot move her. But when she has tantrum, I can carry her. But during that time, it's like, oh, really difficult. So I know that there's something in her body. Yeah, so I won't forget that episode. But there are a lot of things that I can't forget because of the experiences I had in that country. Can I say one more?
Before we continue with the story, I want to let you know that you can now join the God on the Move community on the Lausanne Action Hub. Be part of the conversation, see exclusive content and share your own testimony. You can find the link to join the community in the podcast description. Also, if you have a story to share or know someone who might have, please contact us at podcast@lausanne.org. That is podcast@lausanne.org.
So we do home program. So we go to the parents' house and then organize their house and put like picture so that the child can have pictures, and that's the way to communicate if the child is not verbal or cannot remember what it is. So, and even the schedule, we put places in their rooms, anywhere in their house to create a schedule for the child. And whenever we go to the house of the parents, we would have an opportunity to converse with them, and they would share not only things about their child, but also the burden about their family and how the community also discriminates them. So it was an opportunity for the parents to share their burdens, and even her trouble with her husband, she would share, and trouble with the family of how they discriminate their child. And it was like a healing session where, even though the purpose is to rearrange the house and help the child be more functional and independent, but the opportunity for the parent to speak up and share the burdens and unburden themselves with all the troubles that they have in their heart gives them opportunity to really like be themselves. And for me and my assistant who was there, it was a great opportunity for us to listen and be a companion with them. And whenever there's an opening for us to ask if we can pray for them, some would say yes, but some we won't dare. But if we see the parent is open for prayer, we would pray. And the amazing thing about that visit is my language is limited, but the Lord gave the words what to say and what to pray for, and the mom understand amazingly. And it was my first time to pray in that language. And the mom was really happy after that prayer. And she really appreciated that time of prayer with us. So it's something that I won't forget because it's a miracle. Because it's like, wow, I was able to say those words in that language. Oh no.
I know, this is a very different situation and not the context the Bible speaks about, but Matthew chapter 10 verses 19 and 20 certainly come to mind when hearing this story. There it says, "But when they hand you over, do not worry about how to respond or what to say. In that hour you will be given what to say, for it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you." As people, we have the tendency to oversimplify complex situations, don't we? From speaking to many people around the world, I realized that one of these is the issue of Islam. We often tend to think that Islam is the same everywhere. But like any other religion, Christianity first and foremost, this is hardly the case. And learning about these differences is essential for effective evangelism. So I asked Samara about the differences she has observed in the various locations she has lived in.
The one in the Middle East, I think they understand more about their faith. I don't know. That's my observation. They are very traditional. They would really follow the traditions. And in the school, I've seen how they trained children from kindergarten how to pray and then how to read the Quran. So from an early age, they are already training there. And then, although with understanding of the deeper knowledge of their faith, I cannot really say anything about it because it's individualized. So some really understand and really follow to the point, but some don't. But they are following traditions. And then with the Asian context, it's more animistic. It's mixed. So it's not pure Islam. Even my Afghani friend would say that her Islamic faith is far different from the host country, the Asian country that she's in right now. It's really different. So they won't be able to understand each other because it's like a conversation about if you want to have a passport, why not marry a local in that country? It's like a one way. So I asked that question to my friend because one friend told me that one way for her to really get her passport and have an identity, then why not marry a local in that Asian country? But she said, I will not because my faith, my Islam, my Muslim context is far different from this Asian context. And I can see that. So when I was in the Middle East, even the way I wear clothes is more conservative. But when I arrive in the Asian country, I thought that I have to wear long sleeves, wear baggy pants. But when I arrived there, it's like, whoa, it's modern. Oh, okay. So this is not the same as where I came from. So let me share my story in my country's context. So I was serving in a Muslim community, and that time there was like a fight between the ISIS and the government. And then the local leaders, when they arrived in where I was having the ministry with the children, they started asking us, what do you think about what happened in this province? And they started being, aggressive and saying that the government was the one who started the fire, not the ISIS. And then when I look at the group of people that was surrounding us, in my mind, oh, they are connected with the ones in the southern part, but they are really ingrained in politics and they have access to different parts of the country and they are radicals. And when we had a trip in the southern part of my country, we had this opportunity to be with a family, and that family was celebrating the graduation of their child. So we had to go to an island because they wanted to have like an island hopping. And we went to that island on a boat with men with guns, long guns. And it was my first time, but we had to pretend that it's like a normal thing that we're on a boat, like a pirate boat, with men with long guns. And the host said that they have to have that guns because there are tribal wars. And sometimes there would be, wars on the middle of the ocean. So they have to be prepared all the time. And we're on that boat with them. Yeah, so radical.
As always, there is so much more to say. More about special education, more about disability concerns and neurodiversity, whole books to write on sharing Jesus with Muslims. But now, to wrap it up, I asked Samara to share something that's on her heart and then prayer requests so we can intercede more intentionally.
Now I have a burden with the next generation of missionaries. I don't know if we will have more workers in the field in the coming years because of the economic troubles and issues of different countries. I think Christians are more concerned about their daily life, daily issues, and financial troubles that it's difficult for them to really engage in missions. And I hope that I'm mistaken by this. But I really want the next generation to continue the passion in serving the Muslim community, especially the families of children with special needs. They are marginalized and often not seen, but they are crying out for help. We seldom look at them, and because we don't see that they will respond to Christ because of their disability. But when I shared Christ to my student, they responded. They knew who Christ is, and God knows them. He hears their cry. That's why there are people who are opening special needs schools and hoping to share the gospel to the families because God heard their cries. And I hope that there will be more special needs teachers out there, Christians who would give their life in the ministry in sharing the gospel to the families, and especially for the Muslim community, to become a beacon of hope for them, to be the light in that place where they seem to feel that they are an outcast on their own culture. That's what I felt, that this family felt that they are an outcast of their own religion, of their own community, of their own culture. So they need us to embrace them and to see that God is looking at them and God loves them. Pray for more workers. Pray for passion and compassion. Pray for empathy to be in our hearts. Because there are a lot of Christians who doesn't understand what the parents are going through, what the children are going through. So we have to open our eyes and see and understand, look and listen with our eyes open. So let's pray for genuine love to reach into their hearts so that they may know Christ.
You have listened to the God on the Move podcast, which is part of the Lausanne Movement's wider God on the Move initiative, where we want to share inspiring God stories from the global church with the global church. Through listening to what God is doing all around the world, we hope to encourage and challenge the global church to faithful obedience to the Great Commission. So let's accelerate global mission together toward a vision for the gospel for every person, disciple-making churches for every people and place, Christ-like leaders in every church and sector, and kingdom impact in every sphere of society. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to subscribe and follow us for more.